Hey, lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Shows Update. Wilmer Valderrama's new memoir extols the American dream. Wilmer Valderrama traces his history in An American Story, Everyone's Invited, September 17, Harper Choose, going back to his lowly beginnings as a Venezuelan immigrant who didn't speak any English when his parents enrolled him in Mulholland Center College in Van Nuys, California. He went on to become a one-day superstar thanks to the endearing horn dog Fez on That 70s Present, and at 44, he is now a long-time Hollywood multi-hyphenate. According to Valderrama, who has been starring in CBS's hit procedural NCIS as particular agent Nick Torres since 2016, the ebook is a love letter to the enormous possibilities of the American dream. However, what it isn't is a juicy exposé. Previous relationships with celebrities like Mandy Moore, whom Valderrama claimed he had deflowered in an infamous 2006 interview with Howard Stern, and Demi Lovato, whose song 29 is said to allude to their 12-year age difference, are typically not discussed. Neither is the fate of his confidant and co-star on That 70s Present, Danny Masterson, who was found guilty of 2 counts of rape and was sentenced to 30 years to life in September. For the past 4 years, Valderrama has adapted to his role as a man of the home. In January 2020, he wed Amanda Pacheco, a mannequin, and over the course of the following year, they became fathers. Taking a break from his hectic NCIS photo schedule, Valderrama answered questions from The Hollywood Reporter about his thoughts on Masterson's conviction, the impending presidential election, which will heavily revolve around immigration, and his long-held goal of bringing Zorro back to the big screen. Let's start with your work with immigrants and all of the humanitarian deeds you have done for people who come to this country in search of a better life or to escape dangerous situations. And far too frequently, when they get there, others who are already farther up the ladder drive them down. You personally used that. We are going to choose a new president. For these issues, we've seen examples of what each candidate will do in the White House. I want to know where you stand on this current election. Valderrama, I appreciate you asking. The main goal of this memoir was to humanize the expertise of immigrants. I believe that our tradition is being paraphrased every time there may be an election of any kind. Furthermore, I thought it was important to just state, hey, that's what immigrants actually seem like. Aliens are law enforcement. Our doctors, nurses, attorneys, and other key personnel. They have made such a significant and critical contribution to our country. We must remember to keep humanity in mind when we enter these discussions and as they develop into fascinating topics within the data. We call ourselves the 200p.c, since we are both 100% Latino and 100% American. This second genuinely has the ability to come together. Your political views aren't made clear in the ebook. You mention meeting Barack Obama and how exciting it was, as well as how you were troubled by events in 2016, but you never specifically mention Donald Trump. I am aware that you are now hosting NCIS, a popular show that is watched by everyone in the country, blue and pink, so maybe you don't need to alienate your audience. Given the circumstances surrounding Trump, it is reasonable to raise a number of harmful criticisms regarding his remarks against immigrants. Valderrama, well, obviously, his words can speak for themselves, as you and I both know. My goal when I joined Voto Latino 20 years ago was to pique the interest of our Latino community. My top priority was to get Latinos to participate in the census as much as possible to ensure that we are tallied and know how many of us are here. Imagine for a moment that every person who is able to vote cast a ballot. Politics becomes an argument and we lose the personal element in the conversation. The most important thing was to rally my group to go out on the market and cast their votes for what piqued their interest and what they believed their future should look like. Furthermore, I have no business telling people who to vote for. I understand you and I already know who I will vote for, but I think it's important to let our tradition know that it's also their election. In one of the ebook scenes, you see a narrowly avoided constitutional aircraft crash as you make your way back from the tremendous bowl. The plane you're in with Danny Masterson, Colin Hanks, and Ashton Kutcher is trembling and leaking carbon monoxide. Masterson claims he has little sensation in his limbs. Kutcher and you both use the same oxygen mask. Could you tell us anything about that flight and how it affected your life? Valderrama. My dad, my mother, and my sisters were the first people that came to mind. Have they everything they could possibly want if I were to leave this planet? You focus on what worries you in life, in reality. While dying might be an option as well, denying your loved ones what they desire was most likely the most terrifying experience. I then continued to work non-stop. I left to become an entrepreneur, starting multiple businesses and continuing to work. It's a fantastic example of everything our country has to offer. Examining the current state of affairs in Venezuela, opposition leader Edmundo González merely departed for Spain in search of sanctuary. It's quite depressing and serves as a somber reminder of what's at stake in the next U.S. election. Valderrama. Every election Venezuela has, in my opinion, seems to have a brief moment of modern air where it appears as like it will briefly open up again. It truly is heartbreaking. Still, I have family there. People are earning roughly $1 each month. It's awful. They produce the most oil of any country in the world. Venezuela was supposed to be a Dubai. Witnessing a rustic be imprisoned without its liberties is quite heartbreaking. Do Venezuelans reach out to you as some of the well-known and successful Venezuelan expats in order to help? Are they pleading with Wilmer to return and save them? Valderrama. I believe that the main responsibility of Venezuelans living abroad and having a platform is to tell the truth. God, I wish I could have been there. I wish I could be out on the streets with my childhood friends. The biggest issue at hand is that none of us have an entry level. Many things are being restricted. I work really hard to make sure that the world doesn't ignore what's really going on in the market. Please inform the world, is what my fellow Venezuelan tells me in their texts. That's what we try to do in sequence. I have a question regarding Danny Masterson, your co-star on that 70s present, who was found to have committed rape. Your fellow cast members on that show, Ashton and Mila Kunis, also faced criticism for penning character-driven letters to Danny that surfaced during the trial. How does that make you feel? Valderrama. Okay, so I see exactly why you need to pose the question. I completely understand. Respectfully, nevertheless, I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the ebook that I genuinely feel strongly about. And something I worked so hard to make people aware of. Actually, as I've implied, the ebook is about my family, my immigration experience, and the sacrifices made by my parents. Have you ever been docketed by Scientology? Valderrama. My intention is to talk about my parents and my sacrifice once more. I have nothing more to contribute to that. Regarding your personal life, you had a number of high-profile romances with various celebrities, but I noticed you left them out of the books. Is there a reason you choose not to? Valderrama. I never actually got around to writing a memoir. I had intended for my ebook to be a service-related ebook. I spent a few years traveling with the USO starting in my mid-20s. I owe a debt of gratitude to America for providing me with a future that I very well may not have had in my own country. I read in the headlines that you had just hinted at something that would frighten fans of NCIS Season 22. What specifically did you tease them about, and what are they afraid of? Valderrama. I sense their constant fear. The fans of NCIS are incredibly passionate. I'd say this, that in Season 22, the contribution these writers have executed to the present is simply invaluable. We're taking part in much more with private journeys for our characters. This season will probably be a bit extra humorous, positively much more emotionally pushed for our lead characters, And maybe, they're going to be in main hazard. So that you're not going anyplace. Valderrama.
Yeah.
No. I'm okay. I'm within the season. Lastly, there's a passage within the ebook The Place You Focus on an Enterprise Lunch with Disney Leisure co-chairman Dana Walden, the place you persuade her to have Disney reacquire the rights to Zorro as a starring car for you. Valderrama. Within the early 60s, there was a rights dispute between ABC and Walt Disney, which were separate companies at the time. The rights ended up going again to the unique house owners of the Zorro books. After I had a dialogue with Disney, they have been extremely empowering. And after 60 years, we have been efficiently capable of deliver the rights again to Walt Disney and begin growing a brand new legacy for the characters. And now it's spinning in growth. I do love Zorro, I need to say. Valderrama. Me too. Zorro was the direct inspiration for Bob Kane to create Batman. Bruce Wayne was leaving the movie show along with his dad and mom once they have been murdered, and the film they'd simply seen was The Masks of Zorro. We'd like the gritty, Christopher Nolan model of Zorro. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.